Yo, what up, Street Talks? Eric Kim. Alright, another thought. This is about being skeptical and suspicious or sus about everything and everyone else, I suppose. Some basic thoughts. So, first and foremost, I think your own inner BS detector is probably one of the wisest tools you got in your own disposal. And towards, let's say your goal is towards wisdom and virtue, it does seem that having some sort of skepticism towards a little bit everything is generally kind of a wise thing. Why? Because if you're skeptical, you are able to form your own opinions of things, and perhaps what wisdom is having the confidence, the courage to own your own opinion. And also it's maybe a combination of that and not to get suckered. So what does it mean to be suckered? It means to let others superimpose their will upon you rather than you superimpose your will upon yourself. So even now at this point, I don't even see myself as me. I just see myself as a tool or instrument for knowledge, for wisdom, for understanding art, whatever. And I don't really care for my well-being that much anymore. That means I'm more indifferent to my own pain and suffering. Obviously, I want to be quote-unquote happy and joyful, but only insofar much as my happiness and my joyfulness gives me strength, gives me energy to continue to think, to write, to make these videos, and to swim around this beautiful and vast sea of knowledge. So, in terms of being skeptical, I think this is like kind of Karl Popper vibes, where at least for the most part, statistics, let me give you an example, being very skeptical of statistics. So probably the most valuable thing I learned studying sociology was realizing that statistics can be gamed by almost anybody. And the more people try to bury you in complicated maths rather than thinking about just kind of logic, then the more likely you are to get suckered. So for example, statistics can never really prove nothing. Maybe only science can, and statistics shouldn't be seen as a science because it's not. So for example, you know, let me give an example. So let's say you tested 1 million people, right? And then 99% of the peoples who eat meat, red meat, let's say, on average live 10 years less than non-meat eaters. Then one might make the fallacious claim that, we've proved with 99% certainty that eating meat will cause you to live less. But what if something we don't know is those meat eaters are also drinking Coca-Cola, eating Twinkies, doing cocaine, whatever it may be, right? And let's say the vegans or the vegetarians, whatever, don't take cocaine, don't eat Twinkies and Coca-Cola. So maybe we're suckered by, correlation, not causation, where it's actually not the meat eating which is killing us, but the sugar consumption or the cocaine habit, whatever it may be. So for us, so that's just like a simple claim where statistics could kind of fool us. Now, statistics I think is actually a useful tool insofar much as statistics can teach us how to be more skeptical and suspicious of everything, where once you could kind of understand things, then you could kind of critique it, and then you could be also like, so using statistics in terms of not to be able to prove a point, but using statistics in terms of being able to criticize or scrutinize things. So even nowadays with COVID-19 and coronavirus, whatever, I've been really like kind of scrutinizing the data, looking at mortality rates and stuff like that, and trying to dictate myself just purely from the statistics that I've personally read, and I went to the CDC website, whatever, that I'm not gonna let nobody bully me into being fearful because X, Y, and Z. I mean, I'm obviously taking the precautionary principles. I observe the 12-foot rule for the most part, where in terms of social distancing, I see somebody walking on one side of the street, I just cross the other side of the street. I try to avoid close quarters. Me and Cindy have been ordering our groceries via the delivery services. So, you know, basic stuff like that I try to do, and obviously I'm not licking no doorknobs, whatever. But I've kind of used this time for me to think and philosophize about disease, germs, life, death, kind of morality, ethics, sociology, the sociology and the philosophy and the ethics of socially distancing. Because I actually think the biggest issue right now with social distancing and also with COVID-19, it's kind of more of a moralistic, ethical issue than a life or death issue. Because let's say, you know, me as a healthy 32-year-old male, let's say I'm immune to COVID-19, but I could carry it in my body, and if I cough on somebody or I shake somebody's hand, I could give it to them, and then I cause them to die or I cause their grandparents to die. So that could be a real thing. Now, then comes the question, should I not leave my apartment because, let's say I had it, then I could cause other people to die? And even if there's 1% chance I cause someone else to die, do I feel okay or good about that? Now, so that's I think the biggest ethical issue here. So I think what I'm trying to think about right now personally is, I'm not trying to think about the morality ethics side of things, because that's actually not something I'm really that interested in. I'm thinking more about the statistics, the real information that I think will at least affect my own personal life, where I'm thinking more about like death rates in terms, because like my practical thing is like, yo, if I get it, will I personally die from it? And I guess I'm enough of a psychopath to care about that, rather than the health and well-being of other people. But that's just my own personal opinion. And so being able to, so some practical things. Before reading go to the source, go to the fountain, read the CDC website, read the statistics, read the charts, the graphs. And like, it's funny because when we're in school, to do all this stuff is actually quite boring. But once it actually affects your real life, then you begin to find it very interesting. And so I've been able to like look at some like kind of deeper statistics and actually scrutinize it deeper for myself. And actually it's become far more interesting because it actually does impact my life, you know, Cindy's life, my mom's life, and the life of those who I care about and stuff like that. And so go to the source, read the statistics, read the facts, and then don't let nobody else interpret or digest the information for you. You gotta come up with your own opinion and facts. And this is actually the irony too, is that a lot of people are like, oh, you know, think for yourself and be a free thinker and don't let other people think for you. But then when you say something that is contrary to the popular opinion, they kind of get angry at you for not being informed. Then I'm like, yo, you just told me to have my own opinion and stuff like that, yet you kind of get angry at me for having my own opinion. So anyways, everyone thinks that they're right. Everyone thinks that if you don't think as the way they think, that you're an idiot. So once again, learn how to be more of a free thinker, a free spirit. Think for yourself and know that in this life, you choose.